Next question. Which of the following statements about the exercise Mitra Shakti 23 are correct? And the first statement is that this was a joint military exercise between the India and Bangladesh. This statement is wrong. It was between the India and Sri Lanka. Now see, this is our December 2023 current affairs book for aspirants 2024. On page number 27, there was a news on exercise Mitra Shakti. Here it is mentioned that the 9th edition of India Sri Lanka joint military exercise Mitra Shakti 2023 was held in Pune. Exercise was conducted from 16 to 29 November. The Indian contingent was represented mainly by troops from Maratha Light Infantry Regiment. So it was between the India and Sri Lanka, and in the question it is mentioned that India and Bangladesh. Therefore this statement is wrong. Now if we remove 1 from the given options, we are left with only 2, 3, 4. Therefore D is the answer and this question is solved. Next question. A writ of prohibition is an order issued by the Supreme Court or High Court judges to, and the correct answer is C, to the lower courts prohibiting continuation of a proceeding in a case. Now check this fact in our book. This is our Indian Polity book, volume 1 for IAS Prelims 2024 on page number 56. Here we have clearly explained this writ prohibition. Here it is mentioned that a writ of prohibition is issued primarily to prevent an inferior court from exceeding its jurisdiction or acting contrary to the rule of natural justice. For example, to restrain a judge from hearing a case in which he is personally interested. So there is a full explanation. So C is the answer, that a writ of prohibition is an order issued by a Supreme Court or High Court to the lower court prohibiting continuation of a proceeding in a case. Therefore C is the answer and this question is solved. Next question. Consider the following statements. 2 statements are given. Which of the statements given above are correct? And the first statement is that it is the governor of a state who recognizes and declares any community of that state as a scheduled tribe. The statement is wrong. It is not the governor of a state. It is the president of India. So therefore this statement is wrong. Now check this fact in our book. This is our Indian Polity booklet, volume 2 for IAS Prelims 2024 on page number 60. We have discussed this on page number 60. Here it is mentioned that according to article 342(1), the president may, with the respect to any state or union territory where it is a state, after the consultation with the governor, notifies tribe or tribal communities or parts thereof as scheduled tribe. So it is the president, not the governor. Therefore statement 1, that it is the governor who declares any community as a scheduled tribe, the statement is wrong. Now take the second statement, that a community declared as a scheduled tribe in state need not be so in another state. This statement is correct. On the same page number 60, page number 60 of the same book, Indian Polity volume 2, here it is mentioned that the list of a scheduled tribes is a state specific. In other words, a community declared as scheduled tribe in one state need not be so in another state. So it is clearly mentioned. Therefore statement second is correct, first is wrong. So the answer is 2 only, B is the answer and this question is solved. Question. With reference to union budget, consider the following statements. And the question is which of these statements are correct. First statement is that Union Finance Minister on behalf of the Prime Minister lays the annual financial statement before both the houses of Parliament. This statement is wrong. It is not the Union Finance Minister, it is the President of India. Now see this fact in our book. This is our Indian Polity volume 2 book for IAS Prelims 2024 on page number 137. Here it is mentioned, article 112. It says that President shall lay before each house of the Parliament an annual financial statement. So it is the President, not the Union Finance Minister. So therefore the statement is wrong. Second statement is that at the union level, no demand for a grant can be made except on the recommendation of President of India. This statement is correct. On the same page, number 137, Indian Economic Polity volume 2, and it is mentioned under article 113 that No demand for a grant shall be made except on the recommendation of President. Therefore, statement second is correct, first is wrong, 2 only, so B is the answer and this question is solved. Next question, consider the following pairs and the question is how many of the pairs given above are correctly matched. Now the first is Argentina and the reason for being in the news is worst economic crisis. This first pair is correct. Now see, this is our January 2024 current affairs book. On page number 205 there was a news, dollarization in Argentina. Here it is mentioned that currently Argentina is suffering from very high inflation of 140% brought out by high budget deficits. Other economic issues troubling this nation are high interest rate which are being used to tame inflation, unemployment, declining economic growth and standard of living. So there is a worst economic crisis in Argentina. It is clearly mentioned here. So the pair first is correct. Now see the second pair, Sudan, war between the country's regular army and paramilitary forces. It is also correct. Now come to our March current affairs book. This is our March 2024 current affairs book for IAS Prelims 2024. Come to the page number 107. This is March 2024 current affairs book, page number 107. There was a news with regard to Sudan war. Here it is clearly mentioned that the number of people uprooted by the war between the rival generals in Sudan is almost the 8 million. The war has killed at least 13,000 people. Conflict between the Sudan's army chief and his former deputy force erupted in the mid-April last year. So there is a war between the army generals here. So this statement is correct. First is also correct. Now see the third one, that Turkey has resided its membership of NATO. This statement is wrong. Now in the same current affairs book, March 2024 current affairs book, come to the page number 90. Page number 90, there was a news with regard to this. This is our March 2024 current affairs book for IAS Prelims 2024 on page number 90. There was a news about the Sweden's NATO membership. Here it is clearly mentioned that Turkish legislators endorsed the Sweden's membership in NATO, lifting a major hurdle. Here it is mentioned that NATO member Turkey, it has been delaying the Sweden's membership for more than a year. So Turkey is already a member, it has not resigned its membership of NATO. So this third pair is wrong. First is correct as we have seen. Second is also correct. So only 2 pairs are correct. Therefore B is the answer and this question is solved. Next question. According to the Environmental Protection Agency, which one of the following is the largest source of sulfur dioxide emissions? And the correct answer is power plants using fossil fuels, that is power plants using coal. And this fact is mentioned in our book. This is our environment book, volume 1 for IAS Prelims 2024 on page number 56 and 57. We have discussed this on page number 56. Here it is mentioned the pollutants emitted into atmosphere by human activity, and first one is carbon dioxide, second is sulfur oxides, particularly the sulfur dioxide, a chemical compound with formula SO2. Here it is mentioned that coal and petroleum often contain sulfur compounds and their combustion generates sulfur dioxide. Here it is mentioned, and here it is clearly mentioned that one of the causes for concern over the environmental impact is the use of these fuels as a power resources, that is use of these resources such as coal in the power plants. Here it is clearly mentioned sulfur dioxide, it is created by power plants. So power plants using fossil fuels, it is the largest source of sulfur dioxide. Therefore D is the answer and this question is solved. Next question. Consider the following statements. First statement is that there is an instability and worsening security situation in the Sahel region. This statement is correct, and there have been military coups in several countries in Sahel region. It is also correct. And A is the answer, that both statement 1 and 2 are correct and statement 2 explains the statement 1. Now see these facts in our book. This is our November 2023 current affairs book for IAS Prelims 2024. On page number 130, there was a news with regard to the Niger military coup, and here it is clearly mentioned that West Africa's conflict hit Sahel region. So there is a instability in this region. Here it is clearly mentioned. Now you can read the news that United States declared that July takeover in the Niger was a military coup, and French military convoys have begun withdrawing from bases in the southwest Niger, and it is the West Africa's conflict hit Sahel region. French forces have also been kicked out of the neighboring Mali, Burkina Faso since their military seizes power. So there have been coups in the Niger, Mali, Burkina Faso, and it is clearly mentioned here that Sahel region is hit by instability and worsening security situation. So both these facts are clearly mentioned here. Therefore, A is the answer and this question is solved. Next question. Consider the following statements. Two statements are given. Now take the first statement. First statement is that India does not import apples from United States of America. This statement is wrong. Now see, this is our July 2023 current affairs book on page number 77. Here it is mentioned there was a news that India USA agreed to end the 6 trade disputes at WTO. Here it is mentioned that India and USA have agreed to end 6 trade disputes, while New Delhi will also remove retaliatory custom duties on 28 American products such as almonds, walnuts and apples. So it means that India imports apples from USA. Again, here it is mentioned that in 2018 US imposed import duties on certain Indian products. In retaliation, India in June 19 imposed custom duties on 28 American products including apples. So it clearly shows that apples are being imported from USA to India. So therefore the statement first is wrong. Now if we see the options, only D contains that statement 1 is incorrect. So therefore D is the answer and this question is solved. Next question. With reference to Indian Parliament, consider the following statements. First statement is that a bill pending in the Lok Sabha lapses on its dissolution. This statement is correct. Now see, this is our October 2023 current affairs book for IAS Prelims 2024. On page number 76, there was a news with regard to the women reservation bill. Here it is mentioned that bills amending constitution to reserve the seats for women, they have been introduced in 1996, 98, 1999 and 2008. Here this fact is mentioned that the first 3 bills lapsed with the dissolution of their respective Lok Sabhas. So the statement that bill pending in the Lok Sabha lapses on its dissolution, it is correct. Second statement is that a bill passed by the Lok Sabha and pending in the Rajya Sabha lapses on the dissolution of Lok Sabha, it is also correct. The next line is that a 2008 bill was introduced in Rajya Sabha, passed by Rajya Sabha, but it also lapsed with the dissolution of 15th Lok Sabha. So therefore statement second is also correct. Now the third statement that a bill with regard to which President of India has notified his intention to summon a joint sitting lapses on the dissolution of Lok Sabha. This statement is wrong. It does not lapse and the joint sitting, it takes place. Now see, this is our Indian polity booklet, volume 1 for IAS Prelims 2024 on page number 112. This is 111 and this is page number 112. Here it is mentioned joint session of the House. Here it is mentioned that if a president has already summoned a joint sitting on a bill and then the Lok Sabha is dissolved, the joint sitting will take place and the bill will not lapse. Here it is mentioned. So the statement third is wrong. Only 1 and 2 are correct. Therefore B is the answer and this question is solved. Next question. With reference to the Parliament of India, consider the following statements. Which of these statements are correct? Now take the first statement that prorogation of a house by the President of India, it does not require the advice of Council of Ministers or Prime Minister. This statement is wrong. It requires. See, this is our Indian Polity book, volume 1 for IAS Prelims 2024 on page number 93. Here it is mentioned that specifically that Prime Minister is the leader of the lower house, that is Lok Sabha. He advises the President with regard to the summoning and proroguing the sessions of the Parliament. So his advice is mandatory. Therefore First statement is wrong. Now check this second statement, that prorogation of a house is generally done after the house is adjourned sine die, but there is no bar on the President of India prorogating the house which is in session. This statement is correct because the constitutional provision section article 85(2), it does not mention any bar on the President of India. President has a complete power with regard to the prorogating the house. Now see, this is our Indian polity booklet. Come to the page number 110. And this is page number 110, Indian polity book volume 1. Here it is mentioned that the prorogation is the termination of a session of the house by an order made by the President of India under article 85(2) of the constitution. There is no bar. There is no bar mentioned here. So there is no bar. The statement is correct. President has a complete power. So second statement is correct. Third is that dissolution of a Lok Sabha is done by the President of India, who, save in exceptional circumstances, does so on the advice of Council of Ministers. This statement is also correct. Now come to the page number 70 of our Indian polity booklet, volume 1. Here it is clearly mentioned. This is Indian polity booklet, volume 1, page number 70. Here it is mentioned that dissolution of a lower house, the lower house of the Parliament, Lok Sabha, can be dissolved by the President on the recommendation of the Prime Minister. In other words, Prime Minister can advise the President to dissolve the Lok Sabha before the expiry of its term. So the third statement is also correct. Second statement is also correct. And first statement is wrong. Therefore 2 and 3 is correct. C is the answer. And this question is solved.